Boozy simply criticized J. Prince Jr. for the
Man, Lord. We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking.
Could get their money back was however money back. He said, but Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice are the three. I'm up, I got the neck, and they passed the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shooting against
the entire Duke the Jeweler situation. J. Prince Sr. is now giving a forceful clap in return. Boozy has been the target of accusations that he set Duke up for years. He's finished, keeping his mouth shut, though he's calling names, making disparaging remarks, and drawing attention to mob connections. The internet is exploding. The federal government is poking around. Who exactly pulled the strings that evening, though, is the true question. Why is J. Prince Sr. retaliating with gunfire? Let's go back. November 2022. Duke the Jeweler, 29, is shot dead in what is reportedly a heist shortly after departing Boozy's Houston, Texas, show. Soon after, there was a lot of gossip in the streets about Boozy either knowing exactly who did it or giving the go-ahead. Rumor has it that Duke was set up that evening by two men. They weren't just any old men. Boozy had them bound, strong family ties. Boozy kept his mouth shut, but the streets began pointing heavily as the internet went crazy. Everyone rode along with that story for months. Now, however, the streets are turning around and everyone's gaze is focused on J. Prince Jr., the son of Houston's alleged hip-hop godfather, who has been lurking in the shadows. The real pop-up master remained clean, silent, and in plain sight, while Boozy took all the heat. However, that mask is now beginning to come off. Not all of these details appear questionable. They appear to have been staged. The kingpin was never Boozy. He was the one who fell, supposedly. Why? Since he was present that evening, he gave a performance. He's also said to have invited Duke. According to rumors, Duke's Louis Vuitton purse even made its way into Boo's home. But that doesn't demonstrate motivation. It only demonstrates that Boozy was near, not guilty. He was the ideal setup because of this. In court proceedings, the fall guy is always the one who is already drowning, and Boozy
do well.
That dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before, we was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down.
Boozy was too good for that. Boozy already had baggage from the Terry Boyd trial, weapons cases, and allegations he had beaten years earlier. He was already convicted in the court of public opinion. All they had to do was cling to him with the appropriate story. However, Boozy has stopped being silent. "You'll try to line me up," he says, breaking his quiet and mentioning J. Prince Jr. directly. He claims that he just met Duke at a dice game and that he hardly knew him. And Duke shows up for his gig the very next day. Duke is killed in a parking lot heist a few hours later. No, something doesn't seem right. Boozy is referring to it as a setup. And now people are paying attention. There was no hit on Duke in Baton Rouge. He was dropped in Houston, which is not under Boozy's jurisdiction. You know who does, though. J. Prince J. Even residents of Houston are now voicing their opinions online. That wasn't done by Boozy. This city is not his. If you're from Houston, you know what happened, one user commented. Why would Boozy set up a robbery in a city he's not from, said another bluntly. That would be audacious and blatantly rude. People talk quickly without providing any facts. However, another online voice immediately targeted J. Prince Jr., claiming that Boozy was not responsible for the man's passing. Take a look at J. Prince Jr. The worst part is that guess who else was seated at that dice table? The same person. Who has supposedly been tightly controlling Houston's check-in culture is J. Prince J. According to sources. If you're a rapper, musician, influencer, or anything else, you can enter H-Town without interacting with the princes, Duke, too, even after checking in.
that's ever really been in LA, he checked in. Any real dude that's ever been in Atlanta, he checked in. If you moving and you getting money, you gonna check in because you need to know the right places to be and places not to be. That's a
He does predatory, not simply dodgy. Because the goal of the checking game is power, not safety. Do you recall Takeoff? Even after checking in, he was still in line. The same play has supposedly been played out west by Big U, who requires musicians to check in order to avoid being lined up. However, rumors have it that even rappers like PNB Rock checked in and was still caught sneaking. At best, rappers are being robbed by the same people they check in with. According to Schoolboy Q, that is outright extortion with a smile on your face, not protection. From the beginning, the Duke the Jeweller case has appeared suspicious. Then everything on the internet went haywire. That game of dice, not only was it rigged, it became lethal. Boozy, too, in this drama, he was never in charge. The bait was him. When Wack 100 entered, it became even more chaotic, loud, unpolished, and raw. For a moment, he did not bite his tongue. The dice game, according to Wack, was a setup. He claimed that Duke the Jeweller was lined up rather than robbed. And the crew that makes it, Wack indicated the circle of J. Prince Jr. unless someone makes
be checking in. That's your favorite thing to do. Check in with somebody that's gonna rob your stupid ass.
Wow.
Yo, you think that guy, the guy that you don't know in California got your back?
Makes a mistake. The house always wins at the rigged dice table that Lil Cam and that close-knit group are in charge of. Fell into their trap that evening. Duke began striking dice that weren't intended for him, as Wack put it plainly. And that's what destroyed the entire setup. Someone has to pay when you screw up a system that is rigged, and based on power, money, and ego, and Duke's life was the price. According to Wack 100, J. Prince has been brainwashing people for decades by posing as a protector while stealthily extracting the strings. However, Wack wasn't the sole voice heard. Charleston White joined in, stating that Duke's passing struck a different chord. Not only because he was gifted, but also because it was never necessary. Charleston put it simply, mob ties has created a fatal atmosphere in Houston that goes beyond simply being unsafe. Artists arrive expecting to be protected, but instead they are dragged into shark-infested, loaded games. Charleston claims that Duke was played rather than protected. Ended up getting pinched after checking in with the incorrect crew. For sheer naivete, not contempt, Charleston didn't mince words. This ain't protection, he said.
That a certain jeweler around and got past the dice on accident and was hitting all them for a couple hundred because, right, boom. The only way they could get their money back was however their money back. Lil Cam Wolf and Big Caprice are the three designated to say I'm up, I got the next, and they passed the dice.
Dragging the entire business along with him. It's extortion disguised as something lovely. Silence is the only way to survive in this perverse, unwritten law. 8, he stated. Most rappers are too scared to even whisper the truth. Charleston also claimed that Duke's death was ritualistic rather than random. However, that stillness is now beginning to break. A spark was even thrown on the flames by 50 Cent. He didn't say much. But what he did say were posting mysterious videos, slipping captions that suggested a more nuanced reality, and quietly endorsing Boozy was enough to raise people's eyes. Everything took a turn for the worst after the finesse to Times Incident. According to rumors, J. Prince Jr. secretly got Finesse's girl pregnant, and FNG No Love made a big deal out of it. And this isn't quiet, it's yelling, if silence truly equates to guilt. Finesse remained silent during the rumors, and he's the same person who
It's decades of doing whatever he's doing. He's been having a way of brainwashing people.
Oh, yeah?
To thinking he's doing one thing.
who once extolled the virtues of mob ties as if they were families. He refuses to even mention their name. He has utterly abandoned them. The only things that remain are awkward tension, cold detachment, and a feeling that says loyalty is dead. As fans notice the crack Takeoff's death, Boozy's public criticism, Finesse's fallout, the same name J. Prince Jr. continues to appear in the headlines, that wall of silence is crumbling, and the internet is losing it. It appears to some that a fear-based empire is finally beginning to fall apart. A user posted, J Prince has set up so many people and had several people knocked. Someone else wrote, J Prince took him out, not Boozy. Duke the Jeweler, too. He was more than a man with ice. He rose from Chicago to become a self-made monarch. No industry handouts, just genuine expertise and hard work. Began creating sketches in a little studio in the early 2000s and turning nothing into luxury. His unique compositions quickly appeared on the biggest personalities, like
homie, that's projecting these rules and then coming here playing like they admirable men with street rules and street exit. Nah, homie, them look was set up there.
Like Boozy, 50 Cent, King Vaughn, and Rihan. Duke's creations were more than just ostentatious. They were the type of things that are passed down as legacy pieces. He was hazardous to the wrong people because of that. His star quickly increased, and someone will feel threatened in this sector when power crosses the line into complete independence. Duke wasn't simply at the wrong place. He entered a gold-draped lion's den, shook the wrong hands, believed the wrong smiles, and paid the price. J Prince Jr. was hosting a high-stakes dice game in the room. According to sources, Duke cleaned house that evening and left with about $100,000. However, that victory might have been the final nail in his coffin because he was wounded, robbed, and deprived of his phone, money, and ice immediately after. As if someone wanted him removed, the industry hasn't fully recovered yet. Duke's passing struck a different note. It was more than just a robbery, it was a well-planned move. Duke's passing seemed intentional and personal, as if someone was trying to make a point. Boozy is currently battling to clear his identity and claim he was not involved. The dad appeared devastated when video of Boo's response to Duke's passing surfaced. He was unable to even speak, as if he hadn't anticipated it. And perhaps, just possibly, he didn't. However, J Prince Sr. is now retaliating. Boozy accuses him of being the one who set folks up, inverting the entire storyline. However, since Takeoff was filmed in the same place, the streets aren't consuming that story. According to the coroner's report, he was struck repeatedly in the head and torso. According to investigators, that doesn't sound like a stray bullet. It sounds prearranged. The streets claim that J Prince Sr. is merely attempting to avoid the real heat, but he is now retaliating against Wack 100 for supporting Boozy and labeling him a clown and loud. If you think about him, he's a clown, he said, attempting to turn the situation around. I adore the culture of hip-hop. I dedicated years to my cultural movement. It's not only about Duke or Boozy. This is about an entire system that is based on quiet, fear, and phony protection. It is about the power dynamics that make artists check in only to enter a metropolis that is out of their control. Self-made kings like Duke, who constructed everything from the ground up, aren't safe once they enter the wrong chamber. According to this story, Duke's passing left more than simply a void in the jewelry industry. It revealed how dirty this industry can be, breaking something deeper. According to Boozy, he was the law, finesse times retreated. Takeoff lost his life, even after checking in. J Prince Sr. now appears to be stumbling. Who will be the next to speak up or go silent if this is just the beginning? This narrative is far from ended, so if you're rocking with the truth, press the subscribe button, like it, and stay tuned.